Ready?
Ready's all everybody.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of A Day at HQ. What we're looking to do with this video series is give you guys a little bit of insight into what a training day looks like here at HQ from a coach's perspective, from a programmer's perspective. Seth will be popping in with us, and from an athlete's perspective here with Shirt. So what we're gonna do is take you guys through the day, and it'll vary week to week as we move through and maybe we repeat some movements, but we're gonna explain a little bit of the programming, how and why we do it. Then we're gonna talk about common faults. We'll talk about what we're trying to fix with Matt. We'll kind of just go through it so you guys can see a little bit more behind the scenes of what we're up to. So, MFT number 702, you guys last week pulled some heavy doubles on deadlift. And we just took, what, 8-10 weeks to really, because we started back with the 5x5s and the 1x5. We took 10 weeks to say, let's slow down and let's try to remember how to pick up some heavy barbells the correct way. We've made it all the way back down finally to pulling some heavy singles. And what we hope is that that same form that you were pulling in your 5 rep maxes transfers over to here. The 3x1 to begin at 80 to 90 is it's really just a warm-up. It's just to make sure that you guys are pulling the singles to get yourself up to the area that you want to be in. The meat is really the 4x1 at 90% or more. What does 90% or more mean? 90% feels terrible, really heavy, but hopefully still safe. We're gonna stay at 90. Pull 4 singles at 90, it's good. 90 flies off the floor, maybe we jump right to 95%. As we cruise up, maybe we hit a couple pounds below our old PR, we're all set there, or maybe we go for a new PR. It's gonna depend on feel. It's gonna depend on where you're at. This is the 3rd day of the week, so maybe you're a little beat up, maybe you feel good. It's really up to you. So what we're gonna do now is just take a peek at Matt doing some deadlifts and talk a little bit about some cues.
Cautionary measure. See if I need it.
So from knowing how Matt pulls, watching from the side, I want to make sure that he's drawing a straight line from his hands up through his chest. As you can see with that rep, very subtle, but his arms were angled back in towards his body, and the second he picks it up off the ground, the bar swings to that point where it's directly under his scaps, his arms are straight, and then he stands up. If he over-exaggerates that, if his shoulders get way out over the bar, then that bar is going to swing even more. There's really nothing you can do about it. Your arms are going to be straight, and the bar is going to be over the middle of your foot, okay? You can try to keep your weight back, you can drive through your legs, but you want to try to set yourself up to succeed. So when I watch him from the side, I'd really like to see pretty damn close to a straight line with that, especially as it gets heavier. So Matt, to try to give these guys a little bit of advice on that leg drive that you fixed, are you thinking about pulling your scaps down? Are you thinking about driving through your feet? How do you do that?
The first thing I had to fix was where the bar was positioned. I was told to get the bar snug to my shin, but when you pull, the weight's gonna be over the middle of your foot, so it's gonna naturally swing out of the way. So try to get it more over the middle of my foot, and then what I'm thinking about is pushing back to here through my heels, hopefully keeping my toes down, and then just hips through the top. I'm thinking about pushing my heels through the floor, as if I let go of the bar, I would.
So it's more like a leg press than pulling the bar up.
Yes.
Okay.
Pushing my legs into the floor. This was my first one at 90.
How are they feeling?
That last one's not heavy. You're right.
You got on there right now?
495?
495. So this is rep 1 of working or not?
Yeah, well, I want to count it as 2, but it is 1. That last one fucking heavy. I also feel like my hands are off.
Did you yank a little bit on the last one?
Oh yeah, I've been yanking.
A little bit of the sound, a little bit more of the sound of the heavier weight. I would say pull into tension just for a millisecond longer and take the bend out of the bar before you push your feet in. Try to get that upper back tight.
Fucking cake! That was easy. Fucking weight on this bar. No.
Proof right here, about 10 weeks of working on this with him. He's pulling over 500 pounds with a completely different form now, which is safer. It'll translate to results better, so good progress.
So for the Metcon today, we have 8 rounds for time, 24 air squats. Yes, air squats for the first time in probably 9 months on the blog. We're gonna do air squats. Even regional level competitors need to do air squats. 12 toes to bar, 6 power cleans, 185 for the men, 115 for the ladies. It's a good opportunity to talk about how we scale things like this. So you have someone like Sherb or Austin who's gonna do this as it's written. They're both kind of on that bubble, that regionals level. I, however, nowhere near that, right? I want to be able to play too. I want to be able to get a good workout in, so I'm going to scale it way back so that I can keep high intensity and do the volume that's right for me. So my version here, if you can kind of see, is smaller. I'm still going to do 8 rounds because I want that cycle. I want that all those rounds, that ability to change movements frequently. I'm going to do 16 air squats instead of 24. I'm going to do 8 toes to bar. The 8 toes to bar is because at some point we're nearing 100 reps here in the prescribed version. I'm not going to be able to do 100 reps with intensity. I'm more in the, the high end for me would be something like 60 to 75. That'd be very difficult for me. So I'm going to keep it at 8 per round, and hopefully breaking them up in that small of a set or breaking them up into 2 sets of 4, I can keep some intensity with it and still get 64 reps in. 4 power cleans from 6, kind of just keeping the pattern, but also I'm going to back the weight down. So I want to make sure I clean those. I want to make sure I do it correctly, and I want to make sure that 155 is appropriate for me versus standing around with 185 waiting to feel better. So my round's a lot, not easier, it's more appropriate for me, and probably a lot of the people that follow the blog as well. So something to think about whenever you have a conditioning piece like this. It's not doing you much good to go RX and brag to the world that you finished RX when the workout sucked and it took you 30 minutes to finish. We're looking at about anywhere on the fast side from 90 seconds to, on the slow side, 2.5 minutes per round as they go. So if you're looking at taking you 3 to 5 minutes or longer per round, the workout's no longer appropriate for you in this particular piece. My primary goal when I scale is to make sure that intensity is high and the volume's correct, the movements are correct, the skills are to the level that I can participate in the workout. If it's something more high skill, which there isn't really too much today, maybe toes to bar. If I really struggle with toes to bar, linking them together, I'll probably pick a different movement like knees to elbows or some kind of sit up or some other core movement, because there's no point in swinging and getting 1 or 2 at a time through 64 reps, or the RX version, almost 100 reps. It just doesn't give you a good workout. Misfit's too hard, just go to SethLaw.com. Subscription's $19 a month.
This is a new technique. Please do the homework on that one. Yes. We'll tell you that special guy that comes to our class. Good work, special guy. I'll never come down.
3, 2, 1, go! The difference between what's going on with Matt is Austin does a really good job of getting his knees to his chest and then kicking, whereas Matt brings up his leg kind of as one piece. Austin is only having to lift this with his hip flexor, then he can kick up, whereas Matt has to lift his entire leg with his hip. So as you guys are watching this, you have 3 really good examples of different speeds in terms of the sweep of the leg through the bottom of the hip. You have Austin, who's moving really quickly, and you can tell why. He has that pendulum effect. He's got some nice tension built up in his hip. With Sherb, you see kind of that medium speed. He's definitely a little bit slower. And then once you get back to Seth, you see good form. He's passing through good spots, but that speed at the bottom, that sweep, is quite a bit slower. As you're watching and as you start playing with these and trying to get better at them, what you're trying to progress to is that really fast sweep that you see Austin.
Sure, go.
How long is you stand broken on toes squat?
Full time.
No way.
Both of us. Me too.
8 since 12?
Yeah.
Wow.
You drew.
Impressive.
They felt really good.
Mine did not.
The winter last 2 rounds to get hard.
Wow. That's good. It's really good.
After 5, I thought I would have to break them up, but my air squats were slow enough I could like hop right on the bar and be fine.
Gotcha.
Those were slower than I thought though, the air squats.
Yeah.
Told you, I like, the hand thing helped the most, wrapping over the top. Well, I used to grab like on my knuckles and like wrap with my fingers mostly. So first I'd always tear my fingers. And during the open, the hardest thing was my grip. I just lost it. I was like squeezing the bar as hard as I could. And then literally right after the open, you helped me with toes to bar. And like, so now I wrap my top knuckle or my last knuckle on top of the bar so my pinky gets over, and it makes all the difference in the world. My skin sits flat so there's no pulling, and like my grip never goes. Same thing on chest to bar, changed it. It's amazing.
My goal is to beat him in the first round. Then I don't care. Which I probably won't, because he'll beat me by so much on the bike, it might not matter.
We'll say.
Okay, bitch gymnastics today. A little mix of bitch work and gymnastics skill. First round will be 15 cals on the assault bike, 30 handstand push-ups. You might say, that seems really imbalanced. How come only 15 cals on the assault bike and so many handstand push-ups? Well, the point isn't necessarily to improve your conditioning on the assault bike. The point is just to get your heart rate up and pre-fatigue you a little bit so that the handstand push-ups feel similar to what they'd feel like in the middle of a regular Metcon. You're gonna do the first round, you're gonna rest 3 minutes so that you get basically fresh, completely fresh. Same thing, only 10 calories the second time. Again, full on sprint, 20 handstand push-ups, rest of the 2 minutes. And then the last one's a very, very quick sprint, 5 calories, and then just 10 handstand push-ups. The goal is to, not necessarily to scale or to break it up and strategize this, but to go hard here and then almost go near broke here. Really try to hit a big unbroken set, come down, and when you have maybe a couple left, get back up there, finish it as quick as you can. Don't try to chop those out in 5s if you have 15 or 20 handstand push-ups you know you can do. Go for a big set, push yourself. You know that rest is coming, so even if you fall apart at 25, you can still finish, chalk it up as a learning experience, get your rest, attack the second part. Gotta go hard!
No problem. It's not really my thing.
Cheater.
Mike's not on.
Dick?
Suck it, Jordan! How many calories were you when I got off the bike?
9. I was above 600 watts. I thought that was good.
I was over 9.
You held over 9?
Yeah.
Now we'll see how this changes round 2. Going hard round 1, round 2, we'll see a completely different situation.
Is Drew gonna stay unbroken on the wall?
No.
No chance?
I won't say there's no chance, but I'll say when you dump it out like that in round 1, it's less likely that you can continue to do that in round 2. 20 is still a lot of handstand push-ups.
Go!
I was thinking about how much I didn't like that while I was in the same push-ups that time.
You look comfortable, but you look like you take too much time with every rep.
Like too much pressing. Or
Even
just
we're going at the same time,
You just
and I look over, you look like
You're in control, like kick, and then you're still pressing out the top. You're not like kicking to the top. And then the way down, you're a little too much in control. I know you don't want to bounce and mess your neck up, but you're too much control. That's why you broke it up. If you just went like balls to the wall, like him, you probably would have all 20. It's the time under tension, not so much the reps.
Yeah, no, the press never really got hard, but
Yeah.
try to feel over here.
Fun.
One thing he does good though that like will make a big difference in next year's Open, assuming they keep the standard, is he kicks his heels up the whole time. Heel, heel, heel. That's why he crushed the Open WOD this year. 134, whatever it was, 37. I don't know.
That's a wrap on a day at HQ.
it is.
Sweet.
Any closing remarks?
And the last one, go all out even on round one.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to pace. That first workout, you don't want to. That last workout, you don't want to pace. Just go as hard as you can. Doesn't really catch up with you until the very, very end. Like, felt pretty good during it. 3 minutes and 2 minutes to long rest.
Don't add more volume. That's more than enough for one day.
That was one enough for one day.